In PHP 5.2, they included the zip functionality, the zip class. It's called ZipArchive, and it's now very easy to use without having to install anything extra. It's just ready to use. So let me show you how I built two functions to make it even more easy to use. One is called createZipFile, and another is called Unpack Zip File. So let me just write the code that uses these functions, and then I'll show you how I made the functions. So for instance, I want to say in my code somewhere, create zip file, and I want to call it backup.zip and send and zip these files, which is an array. And so the files I define somewhere like this. Let me see which kind of files I have here, like test, test2, and test3. All zip, test, test2, and test3. Okay, so files is going to be an array of 3 files, or 3 strings, names of files, and I just send them to this function. So let's build the function now, and there you'll see how to use the new ZipArchive. So function create zip file, we need a path and file name. For instance, you could put a path in there if you wanted, and then to zip path and file names. I call them path and file names because they could also include the path, just to be very precise. So, but basically this is just the files. So now create the zip file, and then I have my zip object is going to be a new zip archive. Okay. If zip open path and file name. So that is, if it can create this at all, then it'll go on. Here's the syntax. You need open, comma, zip archive, create. This is standard. Small. So what this is doing here is, if it was not able to open or create the file, then I just have an exception that I throw here. You can do anything you want, but if I'm going to use this, since this is going to be in my library, I wanted to throw an exception cleanly, and then I can handle it the way I want. So now I need to add the files that I sent to the zip file now that it's open, because if I'm here, it's open. Add files to zip file. So we basically need to go through all of these files here. So let me do my template for that. To zip file names, to zip file name I have here, and now I simply add the file. So my zip object, add file, and which file to add? The to zip file name. That's all. And save it. Zip, close, and that's it. So now that should work. Let's go to zip.php here. First, I'll show you here that reload. This is where I am. Here in test, and there is reload, no file called backup. I go to my page, zip, run it, and now look here, F5, and I have a file called backup. What files are in it? Hopefully test, test2, and test3. Zip, open archive, test, test2, and test3. Oops. Test, test2, and test3. Open one, and I see that it's a functioning file, so it worked. Super. Now, let's say I want to unpack this backup.zip. I want to make a very easy to use function for that too. I'm going to call it unpackZipFile. And the zip file that I want to unpack is backup.zip. And now, where do I want to unpack it? I want to unpack it in a directory called old backup, for instance. And that's how I want to be able to unzip files. So let's create this. Let me make this bigger here. So we have here function unpack zip file is what we want to call it. path and file name, just like the other one. Target folder to unzip in. And then what do we want to do? I want to very clearly define my variables here. Path to unzip in equals target to unzip in plus this. I have a nomenclature when I program that a folder does not have a slash on the end and a path does have a slash on the end. Just to keep things consistent and always know if there's going to be a slash on the end or not. So then what do we need to do? We have the path and now we need to open the zip file. So open zip file. Zip equals new ZipArchive. Oops. Archive. And let's make sure that we can open it again. If zip open path and file name does not equal true. Technically, this should check if that is a Boolean as well. Very good. If it does not equal true, then throw new exception. Cannot open the zip file. For some reason, whatever it might be. You never know. So now we have the zip file open if we got this far. Now we just need to unpack it. Unpack it. Zip. Extract to path and file name, and that's all. Okay, so now we don't want to make this one again, so we'll comment that out. And we're going to be making a folder called old backup. Let's look here. F5, you see that there is not a folder named old backup. Our code's ready. Let's go here and we get an error. Let's see what the problem is. Okay, it says it has a problem on 22 opening the file. Let's go to line 22 here, zip extract. And it's having a problem opening the file. Well, this is the problem here. We don't want to extract to the path and file name, of course, but we want to extract to the path that we want to extract the files into, which we defined here, which is old backup. So let's save and let's run it again. Everything's okay. Let's look in our folder. F5, and we see we have a folder called old backup, and what's in there? The 3 files. Make sure they're okay, and they are, so it works. So you see the ZipArchive class is very useful. Now you have 2 functions that make it even more easy or easier to use. You can zip a file in one line and unzip a file in one line.